You are listening to Offensive Lines with Marlon and Boyd. Small stakes NFL gambling for the average fan.
Welcome to Offensive Lines. I'm Marlon.
I'm Boyd.
And we survived U.S. Thanksgiving.
We still took a hit. We were down $4, but oh well. That we picked our sextuple Tease was good. We sucked every other place of that weekend, but
it was my fault for pushing Green Bay. I'll take the hit for that.
No, there wasn't. There was nothing else either of us really liked that week. So
all we had to take was the Giants. But I've got bad news for you, Boyd.
What's that?
We'll never be on the NFL Network, I guess.
Oh yes, because we bet.
Exactly. We speak of gambling on these games. If you haven't already gotten what I'm talking about, Rich Eisen, the only good thing about the NFL Network, had a segment pulled from the Thanksgiving telecast, an interview with Bradley Cooper, star of Silver Linings Playbook, I believe is the name of the movie. And they pulled it because in the movie, Robert De Niro plays a bookie who's also obsessed with the Eagles.
He probably lost his shorts in the movie.
Well, yeah, or killed himself. But
yeah.
But seriously, the best talent, arguably the only talent that network they have, they spent the money on the segment, they produced the segment, and they decided because a movie obliquely mentioned that people gamble on these games was pulled from the air.
Which is so hypocritical. The only reason we have injury reports from the sidelines, the only reason we have injury reports during the week, and the only reason teams get fined for trying to hide injuries is because it affects the gambling. The only reason. What reason to the average fan does it matter if the long snapper is hurt?
If all they care about is the points are close, fine. I mean, and also let's not forget to mention that casino ads are prevalent in every game I watch.
Well, I guess are we getting Canadian ads taking over our Sunday ticket? I've never really paid attention.
Oh, look at the sidelines. Look at the sideline advertising. Detroit.
Yeah.
It's all about Windsor casinos.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous, and they're going to drive away the one talented person the NFL Network has. It just drives me nuts. The reason the NFL is big is because it's great for gambling. It's fun.
Well, that's the main focus of our podcast, and we enjoy it. Like, if I wasn't in a pool tonight, that game means nothing to me. I'm listening to it on the radio in the car coming home from work, and I'm swearing. Just because Atlanta's screwing up, and I picked them in the pool. There's no other reason to watch. That's why the ratings are so high. Everybody has players in fantasy going tonight.
Which is gambling.
Yeah, because most guys don't play fantasy for fun.
Even if you're playing it for fun, it is technically gambling. You are predicting that this player will do better than this player. That is gambling.
Yeah, it's so funny. They want to inundate us with information and everything based solely on how it's going to affect our judgment for gambling. But they don't want to talk about gambling being a part of the league, which makes no sense. And you don't have to worry about a player throwing a game in football. It's just you'd have to have half the team to even make it work. You may get somebody to shave it for a point spread, maybe a kicker once in a while, but these guys are followed so closely now they couldn't get away with anything.
Well, and it's Vegas, or, well, no longer Vegas, but it is the gambling sites that would identify the throws a lot faster than the NFL, which is seemingly is oblivious to most of the rest of the world now.
Well, no, they just like to throw their weight around. They did the same thing to ESPN when they had that, I can't even remember the name of it now. The football series they had lasted one season.
Oh, yeah. Actually, a friend of mine directed one or two of those episodes. Playmakers.
Yeah, and they canceled it after a year because it didn't give the league a positive image. And ESPN wants to keep covering football, so you want the access, you play by our rules. Which is basically extortion. High-level extortion. But when you have antitrust laws, they can do whatever they want. Yeah, they can do whatever they want. They've actually, to get out from underneath ESPN and the control they have, this is according to reports, they told NBC and Fox, you have to start your own sports networks if you want to continue broadcasting football. We strongly suggest you start your own national sports network. Fox is starting up.
So they get the subscription and advertiser revenue that they'll take their points off of.
Well, and they don't have to deal with ESPN. They create competition in the marketplace, therefore ESPN's not the only game in town. You've opened up more bidding on everything. So I just don't think ESPN has the brand and the reach for what the NFL wants. Look what happened to the NHL in the States when ESPN stopped carrying it. The ratings dropped in half. Even though they were minuscule before, they're half of what they were on ESPN. So I don't know if the NFL wants to start playing that game, because it'll be the same thing with the NFL network. Are you going to be in this home? Are you going to be in that home? Who's carrying it? What's the cost going to be? It's just...
And when you stop your talent from doing interesting things related to your sport on some absurd, meaningless principle, I think you're in a lot of trouble. Or potentially in a lot of trouble.
Well, they are. It's censorship.
Yeah,
it's basically censorship.
Well, let me ask you, how often do you watch the NFL Network?
Well, not at all anymore. When they first started, it was like, wow, I can't believe we're going to have NFL stuff. But it's crap.
Yeah.
Nothing is interesting. To be honest, I don't watch much on TV anymore to get my information. It's all online.
Yeah.
Because I can get it.
And Thursday Night Football, though, has been a glowing success.
Well, it has, but...
Well, I keep hearing it's falling off all the time, and...
Yeah, but they're still...
The voices I hear are football fans are just... They don't want it. Yeah, they honestly don't.
Yeah, but we all still watch it. We may not want it, but we all watch it. There's 8 or 9 million viewers in the States on the NFL Network for a game. So it outdraws every other thing on Thursday nights.
Yeah, I suppose.
And so we're not going to get rid of it unless we don't watch it, but we all watch it. So...
Though my impulse to watch it every Thursday gets less and less.
Yeah, but it's on. We flip to it. If the game gets out of hand, like that Patriots-Jets game from the U.S. Thanksgiving.
Well, Thanksgiving Thursday football should be there.
Yes, but I'm just saying, my point was going to be that when it was 35-0 or 35-3 at the half, I didn't watch it. There was no need.
Well, that was when we left Mitch's, and I just want to give a shout-out to Mitch for one of the best birds I ever ate. That was an awesome meal and a great day.
Yeah.
Anything else? Or did you have more to say on this?
No, not really. It's just they're so hypocritical. And, one thing I wanted to say is that if the NFL thinks they're going to spin this Thursday night package off to another network for another $1 billion, they might as well close down their own network. Because there'll be nothing to watch.
But now they're into contracts for it, so...
Right, but I'm just saying, for what they put on, or what's available to us in Canada, it's garbage. Might as well nobody's going to watch it. It's the only thing keeping them relevant and earning them money. So the owners won't keep supporting that, losing money, because it's coming out of their end. So
yeah, if they ever spin that off, that's the only thing they've got.
Yeah.
That was the only card they had to play.
But one other thing I wanted to bring up before we get to the games is all this fucking blather about superfans and calling that idiot for the Jets, that Fireman Ed. And if you're unfamiliar with him, he was the idiot that put the fireman's hat on and would do the whole Jets chant. Jets, 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 Jets. And it's like, it was actually on sports websites that he had decided to stop doing that at games. Do we really give a flying fuck who this idiot is? And the thing that pissed me off even more was, than that being a story, was the fact that there's a guy for the Dolphins who calls himself a Miami Dolphins superfan called Big Papa Pump. I was half expecting to see Scott Stein stands at a Miami Dolphins game. And any of you that are familiar with pro wrestling in the early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s, you'll remember Big Papa Pump. And it's just, he said, that Fireman Ed was a sore loser and doesn't really care for the team and all this other garbage. It's like, okay, first off, didn't know he existed, didn't need to know he existed, don't care if Fireman Ed sits at home and stares in the mirror and doesn't watch another Jets game, could care less. Could we stop making this a story in football, because nobody's looking for attention. So are we, but we don't call ourselves super podcasters.
True enough. I'm in agreement. I found it marginally amusing that he left the Patriots game at halftime. But so what?
So did probably another 10,000 people.
Yeah.
Gives a fuck about him. I found it more interesting that the fans were screaming. If anybody saw the video I posted on the website, fans are screaming at the Jets as they're going to the locker room, "You suck!" All this other garbage, they're screaming at him. Tebow walks by, "Tim, we believe in you! You can." It's like, are you kidding? This is what you're dealing with, and you create this superfan idiot? Come on.
Well, the superfan, I mean, I haven't bought a Madden in a lot of years, but they were pumping that as part of their, campaign mode. Help your superfan, get him involved.
But this is totally different. Like,
What's wrong with fans being people who pay money, expect to be entertained?
No, but he sells an app. Fireman Ed sells an app for the iPhone.
Is he a fireman?
He was a retired New York City fireman.
Okay.
I respect that.
All right.
That's where the fireman part came from. That's why he put the helmet on before he'd do the chant. And you know what? Before he wanted to be part of the story, I didn't mind it. But when you throw yourself out there to try and be part of the story, that the Jets suck, I'm getting confronted because I wear a Sanchez jersey. Well, you know what? If I wore a Tennessee Titan jersey into Pittsburgh, I'd probably get confronted too.
Well, I thought he was saying he was confronted by Jets fans.
Was.
In fact, maybe the Tebow Mafia. But who cares?
Regardless of what the reasoning is, it shouldn't have been a story to begin with. You know how many other stories we've read online or that I've posted on our website about fans not going to games because of the atmosphere? There was a 49er fan shot to death at the Raider 49er game this year. Who cares about Fireman Ed? There's confrontations in the stands. If you go on YouTube every Monday after the games, you'll find fight videos from the stands. The guys have taken with their phone. Fireman Ed is not alone in being confronted in the stands by drunk idiots.
That's true.
Football
should be fun, and that's why they're doing something in Jacksonville.
No. Oh, the Jag Rag. And I know nobody's going to be listening to this tonight, probably, because we're doing it at 1 in the morning. But there's a post going up on the website today, and the Urban Dictionary classifies a Jag Rag. If you use your imagination, you've already figured it out.
Well, exactly. And that's your first hit on Google
Yes.
If you search it, like, I wasn't that familiar with the term, but I was able to figure it out, and yes, my suspicions were confirmed.
Yeah, I figured it out before I looked it up.
So a guy decides to market something, he doesn't actually Google the term first?
Well, I'm thinking he's hoping to play off of that as well.
Well, that's a cynical viewpoint.
Like, he gets the novelty of it being a gag gift for your...
You see, that's interesting. I thought he was just sincere and an idiot.
When you're single friends, if you're married and you have single friends, that's a perfect gag gift. Get him the Jag Rag.
Oh, yeah, I think you might be ahead of me there, but...
You can play off it on both. You get the Jaguar fans, and he's...
No, I don't think you do.
Well, he's thrown out, and this is another gimmick, part of the proceeds go to cancer research. That'll give it some other... He's done a pink one and a blue one.
Yeah. Well, that's...
That's another thing to try and drive sales. Like, if you want to donate to charity, just donate it. And sell both of them for $10 and take it out of your end, right? That's my thing. You don't have to publicize it and try and get the extra couple of bucks, so it's not coming out of your end. Because the one for cancer, the pink one's $12. So he's keeping 10 and donating the extra 2 that you pay. Why not take it out of your end and sell them both for 10, and you look even better? And that's just me. But the
I think you're right. Your cynical viewpoint on that is correct.
The Jag Rag will be the joke of the league. There won't be a player... Like, the Terrible Towel was organic in Pittsburgh.
Well, that's the whole thing. You can't manufacture collectibles, and you can't create a movement out of an advertising concept. I mean, I guess you can, but they're usually not long-lived.
No. It's a great gimmick if you want to make a few bucks. And I just... The name of it, it's the name. Like, the Terrible Towel sounds better than the Jag Rag, does it not?
Well, and the Jag Rag, or the Terrible Towel, is associated with something that doesn't come up in your first Google search as a masturbation rag.
Although, it could be used as toilet paper if you're not a Steeler fan. Just saying. Not saying that I've done it, but it could be used as such. Because it's kind of that...
Plugs up your toilet, man. There's lots of problems with that.
Just watch it like the old style cloth diapers.
All right. On that enlightening moment, let's move on to the games.
All right.
First game up. Oh, and it's a winner. We have Arizona visiting the aforementioned home of Fireman Ed to face the Jets. They are plus 4.5.
Oh, man. I don't know on this one. I like Arizona's defense against that crappy Jets offense. But the Jets have done certain things that I'm not sure on how to even classify it. Like, that Patriots game was...
That had the funniest football play I have ever seen in my life. Whenever I need to cheer myself up, I visualize it in my head, or I bring it up on a computer if I'm around one. That was the greatest play I've ever seen in my life. The missed handoff, and then to watch Sanchez run into the ass of his own man like he is Wile E. Coyote running at a painted tunnel on a cliff face. God, when we were watching it live at Mitch's, we must have rewound 20 times.
Well, my favorite part was he was already embarrassed before the Patriots scored a touchdown. Because he fumbled the ball, he reached for it with one hand, and when he didn't get it, he just put his head on the turf. Like, oh, this is going to be the topic of every blog, every newspaper, every talking head is going to bring it up. He knew already before they crossed the goal line.
There are so many beautiful moments to that. Like,
well, Wilfork pushing the guy backwards.
Well,
step and
That's
a half.
irrelevant. I love the way, after he turned the wrong way to give the handoff and looked frightened and confused in the backfield, he just took off like a bug rabbit and just ran headfirst straight into a man's ass and fumbled the ball. Seriously, it was Wile E. Coyote. It was everything.
Yeah, it's not the look you want to see from your franchise quarterback.
We seriously rewound it about 10 times trying to pick out our favorite moment of that play.
Well, it gives the Dirty Sanchez a whole new meaning.
Yes, indeed. That said, I certainly don't want to bet on this game.
No,
It's kind of your rule about let's not bet on games involving two terrible teams.
I kind of like Arizona here.
So do I, but
The rookie quarterback in Arizona scares me. But their defense has still been playing fairly well.
actually the Jets' defense didn't do that badly till they took 21, 14 of which were not their fault.
No.
In that game, this is just a stay away. These are two teams that should not be televised.
Well, they probably won't get much of a viewing audience outside of New York and Arizona.
Even then, I don't think they'll get any viewing audience. The fans are disgusted with both these teams. It's just awful. And we come to a second game in much the same light. Carolina is favored by 3 on the road going into Kansas City.
Yeah, I like Carolina both ways in this game.
I do too. I'm not certain I want to bet it.
No, I don't want to bet it either. It's the same scenario as the Jets-Cardinals game. Two crappy teams. Anything can happen. Kansas City played Denver pretty tough at home. They've played Baltimore tough at home. It's just not worth risking money on this game. Pool-wise, definitely Carolina.
Yeah, though they, by beating Philly, another one of the absolute bottom feeders of the league, they acted like they won the Super Bowl. That pisses me off on some level.
Girls in fantasy, look for about 20 points out of them this week. Because Philadelphia ran it down their throat.
With an absolutely unheralded rookie. That wasn't Shady McCoy.
No. And if Philadelphia doesn't turn the ball over like half a dozen times, Carolina doesn't win that game.
No. Superman. It's a bad team facing a worse team. So yeah, I'm with you on the Carolina, but
yeah, stay away from it otherwise.
Which really sucks because what's worked for us is betting against these terrible teams.
Yeah, when they play
each other, we're hamstrung here.
Except, you know what pisses me off about our loss last week on the Denver game? Settling for a field goal instead of going for a touchdown there would have covered for us. And once they got below 2 minutes, they just ran the clock down and kicked a field goal. They were 20 with like 2.5 minutes left, and I'm thinking, we got a shot. No, we don't. So
I kind of brought it up last week. That's what Peyton does when the game doesn't matter. He wins it and he doesn't cover. That's what he did all those years with the Colts. Once they were 9-0, he'd win the next 4 games.
Yeah.
And fail to cover those big spreads laid up. So that's a beware.
They Milton Berled it.
Which, listen to our podcast last week because I don't need that explained again. The next one we can't bet on, it is Houston at Tennessee. Houston only favored by 7. You find that number a little odd?
No. Just for the fact that they're playing on the road. If this was in Houston right now, it'd be 11 or 12. And for the fact that they played 10 quarters of football in the last 2 weeks. or within 5 days. I'm thinking they're factoring that in too.
That's
But they're
a good point.
going to destroy Tennessee. Absolutely destroy them. I hate to say it, but they're going to get beat. Jake Locker's not the answer. Fired the old coordinator, who I don't know why you would hire him in the first place when he failed as a head coach and an offensive mastermind in Cleveland. And didn't he work in Buffalo too? I just made no sense. The whole coaching staff's going to get replaced. They brought in Peyton Manning's old offensive coordinator, Tom Moore, as a consultant to work with the new offensive or interim offensive coordinator in Houston, who everybody says great things about, but how can you not when he's the guy you're letting run the offense? I have no idea what's going to happen. They're going to get blown out. Can't beat Jacksonville on the road. Ugh.
Yeah, I have to agree with that horrific assessment.
And just thank me later.
Yeah, seven's a lot, but
not for Houston. They can't. They have no answer for Arian Foster. They haven't been able to stop him in the last 2 years. So, and they didn't use him a lot in that Detroit game last week until late. I think they give him the ball 25 times to make up for it.
Yeah.
So,
fair enough.
Foster and Jamal Charles are going to have good fantasy weeks. They won't throw the ball 50 times this week. Guaranteed. This could be as ugly.
They shouldn't have to.
This could be as ugly as the Chicago game. If Tennessee.
And that defense is being torched by bad teams lately, and I think with the long layoff, the defense is looking to make a statement too.
And I've watched every Tennessee game this year but one. Their safety play is atrocious. They sit they sit Babineau, a safety who's been in and out of the lineup, who was, I thought, their best safety a year ago. And Michael Griffin is out of position on almost every deep pass play over the middle. The announcers actually blamed the route one safety took on the long touchdown last week against Jacksonville. Blamed it on the sun. The sun isn't in their eyes every week. The safety play is atrocious. Absolutely atrocious. Why they
can't account for the sun?
Why they
it's
sign
unpredictable.
Oh,
that sun.
Brutal.
All right.
Into play, you've got issues on defense.
Moving on. Oh, I have some issues on defense. We'll get to that. Indy. Plus 4.5 going to Detroit. I like Detroit a lot in this.
It's plus
4.5.
Plus. It's updated to plus 5. No, I like Detroit in this game too. Indy's has one of the worst pass defenses in the league.
Calvin Johnson has been a fucking beast lately.
And Indy stinks on the road.
They brought back Titus Young after his disciplinary problems. Yeah, and you identified that a long time ago. I think this spread would be a lot different. Vegas saw what you saw, is that Indy on the road is atrocious. They're gross.
I can't explain it, but they're awful on the road. The Jets pounded them. The Patriots pounded them. The one good road win they had was Tennessee, and they won that in overtime. And Tennessee's awful
on a ridiculous forward progress call.
Yeah, don't get me started.
Which, yeah,
it's going to work,
especially after tonight on the fumble that almost changed things tonight.
Wasn't that something? That was the exact same play.
Well, it wasn't even the exact same play because it went on for an extra 4 or 5 seconds without them calling it forward progress.
They're brutal.
But I like Detroit, though. I'm starting to feel that we're going to be ending up teasing fucking everything this week.
Well, I can't bet on Detroit. Even teased. Because it's...
we got them last week, though it took a completely bogus officials call and a Jason Hansen doinker for us to pull that game out of our ass.
I'm not against betting against Detroit. I'm against betting for Detroit. I have no problem picking somebody else to beat them. It's when we pick them to do something.
No, it's worked both ways, but I think if we tease this one, it might be in the mix, because this is a rough slate this week.
Oh, there's got to be something better than Detroit.
Well, tell me if you see it.
Oh, man, this next game's even better. Pool-wise, I'm taking Detroit.
By the way, Detroit played really well on Thanksgiving. They should have had that game. That game was bullshit.
Yeah.
I'm glad it was bullshit. We took some money on the bullshit, but that was bullshit.
Yeah, but so was playing 2 games in 4 days.
Huh. Yeah, conceptually.
And not even 4 days. They were playing at what, noon? In Detroit. And you finish at like what time in Texas? 3? On Sunday?
Well, the Sunday overtime...
Like, that's worse. Like, that's 7, 8
I
hours
know.
earlier than the game tonight.
Well, again...
Like, you're up at like 8
As we've discussed, if you insist on having Thursday games because you're greedy fuckers, why don't you set up your buy structure to build into the Thursday games? But
Never do it. But pool-wise, in Detroit, both ways.
Oh, yeah. And I think we should probably tease Detroit and expect them to win here. Next game, Jacksonville is +6 going to Buffalo.
You know, Tennessee made Chad Henne look like a Pro Bowler on Sunday.
And he did all right against Houston the week previous, too.
And Buffalo's defense is abysmal.
Mm-hmm.
But cold weather, or colder weather, could hamper the Jags, who don't have a running game to speak of.
No, they don't, do they?
No. Maurice Jones-Drew won't be back the rest of this year, I don't. There's no point in bringing him back. Just let him get healthy so he can hold out next year.
Well, no, he won't be back. I mean, if they brought him back, they'd be fools. But
this is
Jacksonville, the home of the Jag Rags, man.
Yeah, well, I don't think Jones-Drew is done this year in Jacksonville. I think that's why he wanted to rework his contract. If he only had 1 year left, he'd just come in and play and go out as a free agent. He's got another year left at least. So, but for this game, both these teams stink. Going nowhere. Buffalo at home, I don't feel comfortable laying 6 with Buffalo. They could win.
No, Buffalo favored by 6 over anyone. Particularly a team that has won their last game and fought Houston to a brutal overtime loss. How is Buffalo laying 6?
I have no idea. Was it because they only lost by 7 in Indy?
I think there's no respect for Chad Henne, who I don't think is that terrible.
Well,
he's a good backup.
Well, he could start for a bunch of teams.
He's certainly a hell of a lot better than Gabbert. You said it last week.
He'd start.
You wish Tennessee was facing Gabbert.
Yeah.
Then you would have felt comfortable that Tennessee was going to win that game.
They probably would have won the game if Gabbert had been court. We sacked Henne 7 times in that game.
Where will Gabbert end up? 3rd string in Pittsburgh?
No, he won't even be anywhere. They'll cut him, and who's going to sign him?
3rd string Pittsburgh. It's got to be better than Charlie Batch.
Well, I don't. Oh, yeah, that's another story. Pool-wise, I'm splitting this. I'm going to P-split it because I have no idea who's going to win this game. I think Buffalo will win the game just on the running game, be able to control the clock. If they would just stop Fitzpatrick from trying to throw 50 times a game. And we saw
with a noodle arm.
We saw it tonight again with Atlanta. Run the ball the first drive, march down the field, and then they turn into the Matt Ryan show after that. Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Yeah, that game should not have been.
When you're up 17-0 and you pounded the ball at them for the first 4 minutes and you got like 55 or 65 yards rushing on the first drive, and then you just start chucking the ball around, inexcusable.
Especially when the guy can't hit anything tonight.
Oh, he was awful tonight. And well,
just terrible.
It was awful tonight too. It's like they were surprised New Orleans was blitzing.
Yeah. Wow. Who thought they had that in them?
Yeah.
Next game, Minnesota at Green Bay. Minnesota is +6.
No, it's +9.
8.
9 now.
9 now.
Yeah. +9. I don't know how Green Bay is giving 9 points to anybody. Who have they blown out?
Houston.
That's it. Is that the only game they've covered? Like, I haven't looked at the stats on that, but they've been awful against the spread this year because they've been favored in almost every game. And they were only 3-point dogs to the Giants last week.
Yeah, but I'm not. Minnesota against that Chicago O-line did sweet fuck all. I'm really pissed at Minnesota last week.
Yeah, I think Adrian Peterson's going to be able to run for a lot of yards against Green Bay. The Giants did. And then Adrian Peterson will keep this game under 9 points.
So you like this?
I don't want to bet it. But pool-wise, I'm splitting it. I'm taking Minnesota to get within 9. Or whatever our spread is in our pool. I haven't even looked yet. But
well, yeah, I may be overreacting, but Minnesota was terrible. They could not get a pass rush against one of the worst O-lines in the league in Chicago. They failed to run against Chicago. That's fair enough. Chicago's run defense is really stout. But their quarterback might as well be a running back. Without Percy Harvin, there is literally no threat from Minnesota to stop people from, like, throw 8 in the box. Throw 11 in the box.
Yeah, but can Green Bay stop anybody running?
Well, they can throw 11 in the box. What is Minnesota going to do? Who catches a ball? Kyle Rudolph will catch a throw or two. Who else?
I still think Minnesota covers this.
Really? I disagree.
Green Bay is probably... And I put them in the top 3 in the NFC a couple of weeks ago. And they probably still are there. But I would put Atlanta above them right now. They're just not consistent enough.
No, and...
Like, I thought that big game against the Giants, I thought they'd be fired up and do something. They looked awful. That looked like last year in the playoffs.
Well, they've got no running game.
They haven't had a running game for 3 years.
No, Cedric Benson was good enough to disguise that. Cedric Benson was doing all right for them at the 3.5 yards of carry that at least kept them honest. That's how they got back into the infamous game in Seattle was, all right, we'll suddenly decide that the running play is still legal in football. We'll throw it at them 3 or 4 times and then it backs off edge rushers.
Yeah, but
when they can't even do that, the Giants' defensive line just ate up that O-line. They're terrible.
Their offense was no better with Benson. Their offense was no more consistent with Benson. The offensive line was no better. it's porous.
Well, they're on pace to give up something like 57 sacks this year.
And if Adrian Peterson doesn't go over 120 yards this week, I'll be shocked. That D-line is bad. Their defense is bad. O-line is bad.
How do you feel about them at -2?
Well, we'll talk about it, but...
Okay, I mean, I looked at this board. This is
like,
a tease week, man.
They didn't blow out the Jags at home. That game was close in the fourth quarter.
It's a division battle, and they're chasing Chicago, so there's a lot more motivation for that game versus a game out of conference with the Jags.
No,
they honestly thought they could mail in.
What was the motivation last week then?
They just got beat.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, if you're not ready for that game, what game are you ready for?
Well, they're just not as good as the Giants.
I don't know how their O-line stops Jared Allen and company.
Well, I didn't know how Chicago's O-line would stop Jared and company, but they did. Because they dominated time of possession, and Minnesota's offense might as well punt
that's the thing
on
too,
first fucking down.
But Marlon, in this game against Green Bay, Minnesota will at least be able to put first downs together running the ball.
You really think so?
Yeah, like they're not, like what we fail to look at sometimes, and I'm guilty of this, is time of possession and how much the defense is on the field. Like if your offense is going 3 and out, like Tennessee's does, like for a quarter at a time, your defense just can't keep doing it, and you're going to give up a big play, and you're going to have holes. It's just, you could see it with Atlanta. They were on the field. Did the Falcons convert a third down today? They were at the end of the third quarter, hadn't converted a third down. Like, that's a big part of why that game was close. They couldn't string drives together and keep their defense off the field. And that may have been the problem with Minnesota last week. When the offense is going 3 and out consistently against a good defense, your defense isn't going to be as strong, which could explain some of the problems they were having against Chicago's offensive line. Green Bay doesn't have that defense.
Do you think Green Bay is going to win this game?
Yes.
So I'm putting in the mix as a tease, because we're ending up teasing this week. Trust me, you still haven't identified a game to bet on.
And I don't even like this next one.
Exactly. It is New England minus another 8-pointer or 9-pointer. What's it at currently?
9.
Okay.
It's crazy. I think New England covers this. I don't want to bet it. We might tease it down to +3 or -3. And I would be comfortable with that. How about yourself?
That's kind of the way I'm feeling too. Miami's a lot better than the Jets, and I don't know what New England has going on to score 21 points in 52 seconds, or whatever that was. That doesn't happen every week, but the last 2 games that has happened for New England. The ball will stop bouncing their way at some point.
Yes, but their defense isn't great in New England. And their offensive line is pretty weak. We say that a lot with these teams that have good records. There's not a real dominant offensive line anymore. But I don't think Miami covers 3. They might cover 9.
They might cover 9, particularly with the garbage late Tannehill craziness shit, you know?
Yeah, if you're up 13 with 2 minutes left, you're just letting them march down the field to run clock.
If there was something I was going to bet just straight out on this board, I would probably say this is the game.
No, see, I might go...
Miami needed every trick in the book to beat Seattle last week, including what many people consider was a bogus roughing the passer.
Yeah.
And a sprinkler system. You know, this is probably the game that I'm most confident in, and I'm not really confident in it.
No, in the pool, I'd go with New England both ways.
Absolutely.
Just
that I'm not going to hesitate on. I'm not certain if I want to bet it as a single game.
No.
But this is probably the best on the board in my eye.
Well, we might look at this as a single game. It's plus 100 and minus 9.
Like, that's not terrible. I mean, I'm not saying I love it, but I don't know, prettiest girl with a dance?
Well, if we're looking at any games to bet straight up, it would be home favorites. Aren't they having the toughest problem this year? If we're looking for games?
Those are trends, man.
Yeah, but
that's like saying because
trend.
It's come heads or whatever. It's an overvaluing.
No, I'm not. I'm saying we look for the best one. There's got to be one out there we like.
Well, maybe there is, maybe there isn't. I kind of like this game. I really like in the Tease because I have little doubt New England will win this game.
No, I don't either.
That's just the way I'm thinking.
Man, no, I know. When the lines are this shitty, we don't disagree a lot. And this is the week in the schedule where you have pretty much either shit teams playing shit teams or good teams playing shit teams.
Well, that's what's killed us, is all the shit teams are playing each other. And I'd rather take a good team, which is New England.
Yeah.
Versus a shit to mediocre team, Miami.
Yeah.
And I'd rather lay those points.
Yes.
Next game, kind of the same situation. San Fran is laying 7.5 on the road to the Rams.
Oh,
they
I don't mind this
tie
game.
In San Francisco.
Okay, well, we got our 3-team tease here, I think.
We're getting a bunch of teas. We're gonna have this is gonna be a complicated one at the end.
This could be a octuple tease.
I think we may end up taking 3 Tease tickets on the week, but
that could work. Or just do one big one.
Now, everyone is in love with Kaepernick. I don't disagree with that. But he is going to have a hiccup.
It's not going to be against St. Louis.
Well, they tied last time with Alex Smith.
No, I know. I just can't see that defense giving up another 24 points to St. Louis. And I didn't see any of that game. I can't remember if Smith gave up picks or they fumbled or kick returns or whatever.
They knocked them around. They were physical. They basically manhandled the receivers all over the field.
Oh, which is a Jeff Fisher trait.
Yeah.
But
7.5 seems big.
But watching Kaepernick, did it not seem that there was other receivers involved in the game that weren't with Alex Smith?
Yeah, that's a really good point. He hit Davis, he hit Crabtree, he hit everyone but Moss.
Hit Kyle Williams deep against Chicago.
No, I think he's really good too, but at some point there's going to be a hiccup. Is it this week?
But they're not putting him in a position to hiccup. They're not giving him more than he can do. And I still hate, and they're doing this in San Francisco, that stupid stick the ball in the belly option read.
Oh,
could somebody please get to these old coordinators and head coaches and say, you're in the NFL? Because next year, you know how much that play's going to work? It's not.
It's going to work like the Wildcat.
Yeah. Look what they've done to Cam Newton. That doesn't work for Carolina. When they have these other guys' tapes for the whole off season to study, it's not going to work, people. And that's what I want to see.
No, and it's going to get your quarterback killed.
Yes.
That's the other really big downside.
The only place I don't mind it is at the goal line.
Yep.
The way that the Niners did it against New Orleans.
Or the way that Carolina did it successfully last year.
Yeah.
At the goal line. But when you start doing that in your own 23, you're just begging to lose a multi-million-dollar asset.
Yes. And the best and the most important person on your team. Especially for Griffin, because he's taller than Michael Vick, but he looks about the same weight.
He's slight by the standards of the NFL.
Well, yeah, he was a sprinter in college. You don't usually have sprinters playing quarterback. They're usually receivers. So, yeah, I just want to see these quarterbacks have a good second year. That's all. That's all I want to see. Do it again the second year like Manning.
Well, Kaepernick, I want to see him have a second game. That's definitely in the mix, though. Again, I think the Niners win this game. I think they crush it. I take it pool-wise, both ways, Niners. Not ready to totally commit to a bet on it.
Well, tease it. If we teased them down to 1.5.
I think we're teasing every fucking team this week.
Well, yeah, if we have to do a 3-team tease and a couple of 2-team teases, I got no problem with that.
I think that may be the way we're going. Next game, Seattle at Chicago. Seattle is plus 3.5.
I love Chicago in this game.
Me too.
This is one I would bet on, straight up. Laying the 3.5. Seattle is terrible on the road.
They couldn't put out Miami.
And yeah, there was that
even
call.
With a kick return touchdown, which are bonus points, right?
Yeah, and they did get the bogus call on that. And you know what? It was bogus because it wasn't a hard hit to the head, but he did get hit in the head. And they call that all the time now. So you got to live with it. We can call it a bogus call, but they call it in every game, on every quarterback. So you can't just dive into the guy. Like if he
but here's the thing: they've got to find a way to stop the quarterback from taking that chest hit, which is what it was, and ducking their head down into it.
Yeah, but Marlon,
first we saw it was in that New Orleans Chargers game, Fix.
But here's how you solve it.
Pardon?
Here's how you solve it. The defensive players, lead with your hands. Just push them in the chest.
Yeah.
You don't have to
Warren Moon once famously said, "You don't have to kill me. You just have to sack me."
Yeah. What? Like, and this guy jumped to try and deflect the pass. But if he puts his hands out in his chest, could have done that. But it was a forearm near the head. Regardless of whether he ducked or not, lead with your hands. Michael Griffin did this in the game against Jacksonville. He didn't hit him in the head, but he led with his head, and they gave him 15 yards for roughing the passer. Hit him in the chest, but led with the helmet. Put his head down, stuck his helmet in his chest, 15-yard penalty on a third down. If he pushes him with his hands, there's no penalty. And these guys are strong enough. If you're running full speed and you push him with your hands, he's going ass over tea kettle.
Part of my problem, though, too, is I've seen the flags when the guy is leading with the face, like you're taught. Like the videos say that should be allowed.
See your target.
Yeah, if you can see your target, it shouldn't be a flag. I don't care if the quarterback's chin comes down to the top of your helmet when you hit him in the chest. You weren't aiming at the head. If you could see the target, fine.
But that'll never happen. Because the highest paid players play quarterback.
And the stars play quarterback. This is definitely in the mix, and maybe even a clear bet.
Yes. Seattle's awful on the road. Awful. 1-5 on the road.
And they're confused. They're coming from East Coast Miami. No stop at home. Coming to the Midlands, Chicago. Yeah, I don't mind that game at all.
Okay.
Next
Pool
game.
Obviously, Chicago for both of us.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Next game, Tampa at Denver. Tampa's getting a meaty 7. This is a stay away.
Yes.
Tampa's defense is terrible. They're a fun team to watch. I love watching them play.
Yeah, this will be an entertaining game. It might even be it is the best game of the afternoon slate.
Yeah. But it is stay away from gambling purposes.
Yes.
I think I'm going to split it, and it's not a pussy split.
No, I was thinking the same thing. Denver's defense isn't great.
I think they're pretty good, though, but...
They're not great.
And I mentioned it last podcast, when he's just jockeying for playoff position, Peyton Manning has a tendency to win these games and not cover, particularly big spreads.
And 7's a big spread.
In my book, it certainly is.
Yeah. I think, well...
I'm going to split it. There's just no way around it. And I'm going to watch it.
It all depends on how Denver starts. They've had slow starts. They've been out... Was that the stat? I think they'd been outscored. This might have been from a couple of games ago, but they'd been outscored in every quarter but the fourth. Or it could be the first and the fourth or something. They'd outscored opponents like 80-7 or something in the fourth. But we're having trouble in the first quarters. So it all depends on their start. If they can get a decent start, I think they blow them out.
We'll see. They always take a quarter off.
But
sometimes two.
Yeah, losing Willis McGahee, nobody talked about it, but I think that's a big blow for them. Just overall. Pass game, like his blitz pickups and all that. It's a blow. So,
yeah.
I like Denver. Man, they're just on a winning streak. They could have a hiccup here at one point, too. Tampa Bay can a lot of points.
That's why I'm splitting this, and I refuse to bet on it,
And Vincent Jackson is proving he's better than a system. Just wanted to throw
I know. Fucking prick. Yeah, you were right. You were right about A.J. Smith. You were right about Norv Turner.
Well, no, you knew that about Norv, too. You were a little more...
Yeah, but when your team's winning, how do I...
No, you were more protective. You were protective of AJ more than Norv Turner. But
and it was all Butler. God, I miss that overweight, cancer-ridden coke fiend.
Allegedly.
Still miss him.
Oh, and I'll bring this up when we get to the game.
And here we are. Since this is probably the best bet on the board, but we're prohibited from betting this. Cincinnati minus 2.5 going to San Diego. Sensei.
Yeah, although San Diego almost pulled off the upset of Baltimore, which wouldn't have really been an upset.
Big upset.
Seeing the spread was only 1.5.
Because Baltimore's terrible on the road and they're a bit of a fraud themselves. But, wow, 4th and 29. Awesome to watch.
You know what? My favorite part of that play was the block by Anquan Bolden.
That was a clip.
No, it wasn't. Hit him in the shoulder. Waddle's head bouncing off Ray Rice's shoulder pads and him going stiff from being knocked out. That's the example of a clean play where a guy gets rocked, and they can never take that out of the game. It's part of playing in the NFL. I know they're trying to protect everybody. Clean play, and the guy's arms lock stiff when he hits the ground. So you know he's out cold. And it was just like the effort that everybody talked about Ray Rice's effort. The Anquan Bolden block said more to me about him than Ray Rice's effort. Anybody with the ball is going to try and get as far as they can. when you put that effort in to make that block, run back 15, 20 yards to make that block, unbelievable. Because he's tackled about 2 yards short without that block.
That was an argument.
Unbelievable block.
Anyway, perfectly emblematic of the Chargers season.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't laugh, but you've been hammering on Chargers all year, and I can say.
Oh no, I'm not stopping. Don't worry, this doesn't bug me. It's just when it came to 4th and 29, I knew it was going to be a first down. I thought it would be a defensive holding. I really did not anticipate a check down pass that somehow all of the Chargers defenders took themselves out, except for one fat fuck of a defensive lineman, and I can't even remember who it was, who was just sort of jogging after the play like he was running on the fucking beach. And then tried to make the last desperation tackle. And the fact that it took 10 minutes to spot was clearly a first down.
Well, how do you move the chains, then reset the chains?
And then you don't even know where the chains were or are?
No, there's no film of that on the.
Oh, there's no complaint, by the way. Like, that was a first down.
No, I get it. I found that.
It's not whining. And I enjoyed it. I hate to say, deep down in my soul, I was happy about it.
Well, and that's the Tennessee game, and you notice how I always have to bring it back to me. The Tennessee game was the first game I was upset with this year. Honestly, got mad watching the game when Locker got picked off in the fourth quarter. Just because they got the ball back with 3.5 minutes left with great field position, needed like 30 yards for a field goal to win it. First play, picked off. On a pass that wouldn't have even been close to the receiver had it not been tipped and intercepted. Wouldn't have been close. It was behind him before it was even deflected. So, that was the first time I got pissed off. But after
I've been pissed off all fucking year.
No, but after I calmed down, better to lose, get a higher draft pick. We're doing nothing this year. Finish 4-12. I don't care. We draft in the top 5 or 6. Hopefully get something to help either O-line, D-line, safety, something, or running back, because they're going to cut Chris Johnson this year. But yeah,
he's had a pretty good. But for me, I mean, where I think I got most pissed off at the Chargers was when they beat the Chiefs in their second meeting with the Chiefs, and Norv Turner was smiling and dancing around. That's the part where if I had a fucking rifle, like, oh, you beat the worst team in the league and you've saved your job. Like, it drives me nuts because I'm the Saints game tonight. We had Michael Turner, we had Sproles, and we had Breeze.
Yeah.
Almost every game the Chargers play, he was an ex-Charger, he was an ex-Charger, and there are all these playmakers everywhere. And what are we left? A sneering frat/god boy and nothing else.
Yeah, but that's because you know what? Norv Turner didn't make the decision not to sign those guys.
No, it's AJ. I mean, again, the late lamented Butler, he built that team. AJ did it. You called it on me on years ago. Lord of No Rings. Fuck you. It's a fucking disaster.
And when you think you're the next Bill Belichick, and it bites you in the ass, I don't feel sorry for you. You can't.
No, I don't feel sorry for anyone.
No, I didn't mean you. I'm just saying you can't feel sorry for a GM that thinks of any team that thinks he's smarter than the room, and that if you have talent to replace what's going away, Like, remember when we talked about Houston letting, who's the D end that they let go in free agency? Mario Williams?
Oh, Mario Williams, yeah.
I said they must have somebody to take his spot. J.J. Watt took his spot. Then you can let the guy walk, and nobody's going to bitch about it. But when you let these guys go, and you know what, Breeze going, I don't have a real problem with that.
No, neither do I. And by the way, I haven't given up on Rivers yet.
Rivers hasn't had the talent around him.
No, and he hasn't had the fucking authority figure that makes him get better.
No, but that's not it.
He and Norv Turner, Norv gives him a fucking hand job after each game.
Yeah, but they're Marlon. They don't have the talent. They don't have the talent. When he had talent,
no O-line. We've been talking about this forever. We'll do a separate podcast where I vent on the Chargers. But we gotta fucking move on.
I know, but it's just, let me say this. It's funny how your decision making is lacking when you have no talent.
Yeah, no. All I can say is...
Like when he had receivers... When he had receivers...
29.
No, but when he had receivers, he made good decisions.
And when he had more than 1.75 seconds.
When he had an O-line.
O-line. It's always the fucking O-line, people.
His bad picks this year have been when he's been under duress. And he tries to make something happen. Instead of just taking a sack or throwing it away.
And especially when the playbook is all based on plays that take 5 seconds. You don't even adjust Norv Turner for the fact that you have no O-line to design plays that might work under less time. But it's later. It's just
the biggest awful. And Norv Turner likes to run the ball as well, and they don't have a running back.
No.
I hate to say it.
Oh no, he's I'd take Pierre Thomas any day over Ryan fucking Matthews.
Yeah.
Anyway, next game is off the board. Cleveland at Oakland. I love Cleveland.
Yes.
Pool-wise, both ways. It's that simple.
Yeah.
Cleveland's been playing hard. They have a coach almost as bad as Norv Turner, and they still manage to stay in games.
And a 28-year-old rookie quarterback. And no wideouts.
And a really bad 28-year-old rookie quarterback, I might add.
Yeah, but they do have a stud running back.
Yeah, Trent helps, but they'll
and their defense is legit in Cleveland.
Yeah.
With better coaching, they could be a 500 team.
Oh, easily. I like Cleveland quite a bit. Pittsburgh at Baltimore.
Also
off the board. Baltimore.
Take Baltimore.
Yeah.
Roethlisberger's not playing. And
if they did, they'd be fools. This season is a lost season. Give the big man a chance to get healthy. Just bench him right off this season. And
here's when I said, well, I'll save it till we get to the game. I wanted to bring this up. I've mentioned frequently on this podcast about my suspicions of Ray Lewis allegedly using performance-enhancing drugs. Tears his tricep, which is usually you're gone for the season. He's listed as day-to-day after about a month. And he's almost 40. So could somebody please... I need a doctor to email the podcast or something and tell me how this is possible for a 37, 38-year-old man to recover faster than guys in their 20s and early 30s. Because it ain't normal.
Nope. Though I think it's also irrelevant.
I know, but it's just the talk of the last 2-3 years was what a high level he played at for his age and blah, 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 fucking blah.
Well, Christ told him to stick the needle in his ass.
Unbelievable. But yet the problem in the NFL is Adderall. Yeah, that's it.
We'll get to that on a different occasion.
I know, I just throwing it out there.
But seriously, Baltimore, even though I think they're a bit of a fraud, they win this at home. They're going to destroy Pittsburgh is due for a down, too, by the way. That O-line is terrible.
Well, they just don't.
They've got no running game.
No quarterback.
Right now. Roethlisberger, I still think is a legitimate fucking stud.
Yeah, for this game, though. No quarterback. Yeah. Pittsburgh won't run the ball in this game. They're gonna dare Badge to beat them. And it's gonna get ugly early. They're gonna lay a whooping on Pittsburgh.
Yeah, it's their statement game, really. They're not going to let up.
No.
Years of being a little brother, you're going to see it tonight.
It's their time to boot stomp them.
I mean, I'd probably lay 11.5, 12 on Baltimore if a number was available. And take it comfortably.
Well, I'd say 9. I'd be comfortable at 9.
I'm serious, 11.5. Next game, Philadelphia at Dallas.
How is Dallas laying 10 points in this game?
That's what I said when I was entering these for the pool site. I said to Shelley, I'm just going, holy fuck. How is Dallas favored by 10 points over anyone?
Like, I know Philly's bad. But Dallas, I don't know what the talent on that team. Who do you blame? Is it the coaching?
Garrett?
Well, yeah, but the D coordinator's got to be on the firing line, too.
No, but he's probably... Okay, here's a little-known thing about the Chargers. Is Norv Turner set up the organization so that there is literally no one there with experience in play calling on the offense. He cannot be fired mid-season. I'm not joking.
Oh, I know.
That's for fucking real. He can't be fired in the middle of the season because there is no one who knows how to pick up that clipboard.
I never thought of that. Same thing in Dallas.
Yeah.
That doesn't work.
Oh, not if you want your team to win. No, it doesn't.
Because you're worrying about calling a play instead of game situation, which is what you should be worrying about as a head coach. That makes perfect sense to why Dallas fucks up clock management.
Yep.
Same with Andy Reid, calls all his plays too.
Yep.
And they're the ones fucking up the clock. Oh, and I just have to say, it looks so beautiful on Drew Brees for not getting a field goal at the end of the first half. And his streak stopping tonight. Fucking hypocrite. Fuck.
I totally love it, but what I really like is that streak is bullshit. But no, seriously, they can't fire Norv Turner midseason because there's literally no one who could even take over the interim duties.
Well, and Jerry Jones can't fire Jason Garrett because no top-flight coach has taken that job with him running the team.
Yep. Well, no, he will fire him, but...
Yeah, but who do they get? They're not bringing in anybody...
Doesn't matter, but Jason Garrett, who... it's being established what my opinion is of him after he drove out, Wade Phillips, who was not a good head coach either. I'm not defending him, but he sabotaged Wade Phillips and now has set up a situation because he's a paranoid motherfucker, so he never let anyone...
Marlon, I think the way he's coached is proof that he's just not that good.
Yeah.
I don't think he was sabotaging.
But if you don't have a replacement,
I know.
Was sabotaging.
No,
Wade
because
Phillips.
you look at how he calls plays now. How are you sabotaging when you're doing the same thing when you're the head coach and your ass is on the line? You couldn't have been sabotaging.
But there's no
you're
one
just
to
not that
replace
good.
you. But, yeah, holy fuck, I actually, when I was entering the lines for a pool, I just said, holy shit, is Dallas good enough to be laying 10 points to anyone?
No.
And Shelley just shouted out, fuck no. Mind you, I won't bet on it.
No, pool-wise, I'm taking Dallas and to win and Philly to cover. 10 points is too much for Dallas.
I think I'm taking Dallas. Philly is as bad as the Chargers.
Yeah, and then I'll look at the picks on Sunday and you'll have Dallas, Philly.
Well, I could change my mind. Final game, Giants at Washington. This should at least be fun to watch.
This might be the best game of the week.
What do you think?
I like the Giants. They're better on the road. And you can tell where the money's being laid because they're only 2.5-point favorites, but it's minus 120. And I know Washington gave them trouble in New York. Man, this is a tough one because I certainly don't bet Giants.
This is the rare game in this NFL season where I'm just looking forward to actually watching it.
Yeah. I want to see what Griffin does against... Well, can the Giants play a consistent couple of weeks in a row here?
Andre Brown breaking his leg actually hurts that team a lot more. Like, I own him in my failed fantasy attempts this year. But Andre Brown was the guy who could put the Giants in from the 3.
Yeah, I don't know what is the matter with Bradshaw. How he can't seem to power in from 3 yards and closer.
Well, he's not that big.
Yeah, but you don't... It seems
Neither
like
is Andre Brown, but Andre Brown had that nose for the goal line, and that's going to hurt the Giants. I find this game fascinating. I don't want to bet it.
Okay, I'm cool with that. The Robert Griffin factor plays into it. This is a huge game for Washington. They win this, they're a game out for the division. That's crazy. Because nobody would have saw that coming. Washington could make the playoffs still. Even as a wild card. Because 9-7's getting you in the NFC.
No one saw Morris coming.
No.
That's like a big thing with Washington's success right now, is Morris.
But as we saw, Dallas shut him down.
Mind you, Griffin's numbers are stupid. 67% completion.
Yeah, but they're not asking him to do too much, which I like.
But I don't care. I mean, the highest record ever is just over 70. And he's doing it as a rookie, as a running quarterback? Ridiculous.
No, I agree. But...
And Alfred Morris is really damn good.
This is the biggest game in Washington in about 5 years. Maybe longer.
It's the biggest game in Washington since Joe Gibbs won.
This is going to be... The crowd there will be nuts. Divisional game, Monday night. It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun. I don't want to bet it. I think in the pool I'm going Giants both ways. Just on pedigree.
I have no idea.
I'm going Giants. They play better on the road. They just had their best game at home. Manning looked
Let's see. And Rodgers is a mobile quarterback, but Washington's O-line is better.
Yeah.
Much, much better than Green Bay's. All right.
Now we get into this.
We gotta make some fucking bets. We're already at our longest podcast ever.
And I said, let's do this one short. Let's keep it under an hour tonight.
Try, brother.
Yeah, now we're at an hour 20 already. Oh, boy. Oh, man.
Okay,
what are you thinking? Green Bay?
Okay, I'm thinking...
Well, 3-team tease, we go Green Bay, New England, and San Francisco. Is my thinking. What were you thinking?
Okay, so I think we're looking at a 3-team tease, a 2-team tease, and maybe one single bet. Let's start with the single bet here.
Chicago.
Okay.
Minus 3.5.
Yeah. Okay, book that.
Okay. Chicago minus 3.5 at home to face Seattle. $10 bet pays $19.09. Booked. What were you thinking for the 2-team?
I like San Fran teased.
You don't want to put them in the 3? Put the 3 best in
No, I would rather take our two best next. Try to cash our next two best. The 3-team is a lottery.
San Francisco and Green Bay?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's the sides we're taking, right?
Yeah. So, we're taking San Francisco, who were minus 7.5. We teased that down 6 points to San Francisco minus 1.5. We're taking Green Bay, who were favored minus 9. We're teasing that down 6 points to minus 3. $10 bet pays $18.33. Book it?
Book it.
Booked. Okay, 3-teamer. New England. Who else you got? Denver. Tease them down to minus 1. It's basically a pick 'em.
I'm thinking New England, Detroit.
Denver's got to be in there.
And Denver.
I don't like Dallas or the Giants or Washington. No. I would take Cincinnati if we were allowed to, but
no, that's the best bet on the board. Anyone who's seriously gambling, Cincy.
Okay, so we got New England, Denver. What was the other one you wanted? Buffalo?
Detroit. I know you're trying to push me off that, but...
Okay, so... we're teasing these all 6 points. We have New England at Miami. New England was originally minus 9. We've teased that down 6 points to minus 3. We have Denver at home to face Tampa Bay. Denver was originally minus 7. We've teased that 6 points to minus 1. We have Indianapolis at Detroit.
And we're taking Detroit.
Yes, we're taking Detroit, who are favored by 5. We've teased that down 6, so we're now Detroit plus 1. That $10 bet pays $26. Awesome. I'm feeling not so confident in any of our bets. No, I'm kidding. I really like the Chicago bet. Seattle's bad at home. Lynch won't run for a lot, so... No, I think we're doing good. That Green Bay, San Fran's a good one, too.
It's a tough week, man.
This
board was brutal.
Yeah. All right. So if you want to check out the podcast, you can listen to it on iTunes. Just search Offensive Lines. Really appreciate it if you checked it out on YouTube. We're trying to get our views up on there, even though it's just an audio podcast. You can check out our channel. It's Offensive Lines. You can listen to it on our website, offensivelines.ca. You can follow us on Twitter to get any updates to the website or when new podcasts are available. It's at Offensive Lines or facebook.com/Offensive Lines. And if you want to contact the podcast, just shoot us an email, offensivelines@shaw.ca.
I'm Marlon.
I'm Boyd.
And that was Offensive Lines.
Jag Rag.
Okay, the audio